Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning ladies and gentlemen. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, greeting of virtue. Before we start, I would like to welcome all of the participants who have come, and we're delighted to welcome you to guest lecture under the title Changing the System, Multiple Factors and Stakeholders, Universitas Negeri Surabaya. I'm Isabel and I'm the Master of Ceremony of today's guest lecture. Before we start, allow me to greet the Honorable Vice Deans of Faculty of Education, Prof. Dr. Budi Purwoko, Master of Education, Head Department of Undergraduate Program of Education Management, Mr. Shuno Trihantoyo, Master of Education, Head of Undergraduate Program of Teacher Education of Early Childhood Education, Mrs. Kartika Rinakit Ade, Master of Education, Professor Susan Ledger, PhD, as our speaker of today's guest lecture, and today moderator Dr. Ima Widiana, Master of Education. Step on the following agenda is singing the national anthem Indonesia Raya, UNESA Mars, and Faculty of Education Mars. We will invite Rizcha to guide us. For Rizcha may come to the stage. For all the participants, ladies and gentlemen, please stand up.
Indonesia, kebangsaanku. Universitas Negeri Surabaya, mengembangkan ilmu pendidikan, didik putra bangsa, mencetak insan yang cerdas dan kompetitif, berakhlak mulia profesional, paham teknologi, demi masa depan generasi Indonesia, menggapai cita-cita gemilang tujuan kami. Fakultas Ilmu Pendidikan Universitas Negeri Surabaya, mengembangkan ilmu pendidikan, didik putra bangsa, mencetak insan yang cerdas dan kompetitif, berakhlak mulia profesional, paham teknologi, demi masa depan generasi Indonesia, menggapai cita-cita gemilang tujuan kami.
Ladies and gentlemen, may sit down. Before we continue to the next session, we will pray together. We'll invite Sobrina to guide the prayer. For Sobrina, please come forward to lead us the prayer.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma sholli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammad walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. O Allah, the Lord of the world, the most compassionate and merciful. We gather here today in your name to seek knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. We acknowledge your infinite wisdom and grace, and we seek your blessing upon this international seminar. Grant us the sincerity of intention as we engage in the exchange of idea and knowledge. Guide our heart and mind to be open to learning, to understanding, and to embracing diversity. Help us to use the knowledge gained here for the betterment of humanity and advancement of society. O Allah, bless the speaker, organizer, participant, and all those involved in this seminar. Grant them success in their endeavors and accept their efforts of worship. May this gathering be a means for fostering unity, cooperation, and mutual respect among people of different backgrounds and cultures. O Allah, grant us the strength to overcome any challenge that might arise during this seminar, and bless us with quality of thought and expression. Help us to apply the knowledge gained here in ways that bring benefit to ourselves and others. We ask for your guidance and protection throughout this seminar and in all our endeavors. Help us to stay steadfast on the path of rightness and truth. O Allah, accept our praise and make this seminar a source of enlightenment, inspiration, and empowerment for all. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Sobrina, for leading our prayer. Next, we will hear some opening remarks from the Honorable Vice Dean of Faculty of Education Universitas Negeri Surabaya, Profesor Dr. Budi Purwoko, Master of Education. Give a round of applause for Profesor Dr. Budi Purwoko.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, distinguished speakers, Prof. Susan Lectur. I'm sorry, maybe fault in the spelling, yeah, and all participants. It is with great pleasure and honor that I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you to this seminar. Today mark a significant moment as we gather here to exchange knowledge, ideas, insights, and experience. To out of this seminar, we have the opportunity to engage on fruitful discussion and learn from each other expertise. I encourage all of you to actively participate, ask questions, and share your unique perspectives to enrich our collective understanding. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to esteemed speaker, Prof. Susan Ledger, for her invaluable contribution and insight that they will be sharing with us today. Your expertise and dedication inspire us all to strive the excellence in our respective fields. I would also like to extend my gratitude to organizing committee who have worked to make this event possible. As we embark on this journey of exploration and discovery, let us embrace the spirit of collaboration and open-mindedness. May this seminar serve as catalyst for new ideas, meaningful connection, and lasting friendship. Once again, welcome to this seminar. I wish you all a productive, engaging, and enjoyable experience. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Budi Purwoko, for the opening remarks. The next agenda will be signing of implementation agreements between early childhood education, educational management, and the Faculty of Education and University of Newcastle on Professor Dr. Budi Purwoko, Head Department Program Education for Childhood Education, Mrs. Kartika Ade, and the Head Department of Undergraduate Program of Education Management, Mr. Shuno Trihantoyo, from Universitas Negeri Surabaya, also Professor Susan Lectur, PhD, from University of Newcastle. Please join the stage. Give a round of applause to the four partner. All department coordinators and our partners may return to your seat.
Aja, nyimpen dana ya.
The first one, participants are required to rename the Zoom account with format, name, institution. Participants may ask questions in two ways that are using raised hand feature in Zoom or via chat box. The attendance link will be shared at the end of the conference. And the last one, participants can contact the person in charge if there are any obstacles during the webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now continuing our meeting to the next agenda, which is the keynote session. The keynote session will be led by our moderator, Dr. Ima Widiana, Master of Education. Give a round of applause for our special moderator.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to see you again in the sessions. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ima Widiana. I'm sitting here as the moderator who will guide the workshop. I'm in the guest lecture this morning with our special guest lecturer, Professor Susan from Newcastle University, Australia. Entitled Changing the System, Multiple Factors and Stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, nowadays changings happens every time. Even we blind our eyes, changings happens, and we used to be ready to face the changings. Even the curriculum recently in 21st century changings, the education system, curriculum in Indonesia especially changings every time, and we used to be ready to face the changings, especially right now. Our education system has to adapt with stakeholder needs and also integrated with technology. All right, so before we are going to invite Professor Susan from Newcastle, Australia, I would like to reread her curriculum vitae. Professor Susan's lecture, PhD. Recently, she is the Dean of Education, of School Educations in Newcastle University, Australia. She was graduate also from University of Western Australia for her PhD. And his historical record, professional activity, she got award as the winner Financial Review Higher Education Award, and she is also as editor-in-chief Australians and International Journal of Rural Education, and she is also as reviewer International Journal of qualitative studies in education, also as reviewer at Cambridge University Press. She is also as the writer in some book chapters and some books. And wow, this is amazing about publication recognitions. Uh, Scopus document, 44 document, ladies and gentlemen, and Scopus citation, 299 by 252 documents. Wow, give applause once again of her achievement, amazing achievement, Professor Susan. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's invite Professor Susan to listen her overview about changing the system and multiple factor and stakeholders. Time is yours.
Terima kasih Bu dan Pak. Hello? Yes? Yeah? Terlalu kuat ya? Okay. Saya harap saya bisa bicara bahasa tetapi tidak bisa, tidak jelas dan ya, tidak lancar. Jadi saya akan pakai bahasa English sebab saya pikir semua orang mau saya bicara bahasa English. Yeah? Yes. Okay. Thank you for having me and thank you for being such a great university. Great students, great teachers and great leaders. Where did he go? Great leaders. Because when I looked at your rankings, you are number 3. Equal, number 1 is equal, and I can't remember who that is. And then you are ranked number 3 in Indonesia, so well done. We are similar in Australia. University of Newcastle is highly ranked in Australia. I think we're number 5 at the moment. But before I start, what's my symbol? This? That will be next. That pattern is from one of my mahasiswa saya did that pattern, that material. That's her design. But it's hampir sama batik tapi dari orang asli di Australia. Yeah, Aboriginal. So, oleh sebab itu, I want to acknowledge the original people on my country in Newcastle. In Australia, every time we speak, every time we have a function, we have to acknowledge our orang asli. So I'm acknowledging the Indigenous people from my lands and their elders past, present and future. This is just a little bit about who I am and what I research. I look at diverse contexts, international, rural, remote, hard to staff schools are schools that are tough, that people don't want to go and work in. I look at diverse cohorts, international, regional, Indigenous and equity. I look at diverse curriculum. I've worked with the International Baccalaureate and international schooling system. I've looked at national curriculum and local curriculums when you adapt it locally. I've always also done diverse approaches to initial teacher education. I brought simulation. I brought international. Hello. I brought simulation into Australia and internships. We all do internships, and I do a very diagnostic approach to it. And last of all, when I research.
Gimana, Di?
Siapa itu? Oh, on. Right. Okay. So there we go. So diverse contexts, diverse cohorts, diverse curriculum,
Ya apa kok ini,
diverse
Dok?
approaches, and diverse methods to research. Okay. Thanks. until that is full. Yeah, one, two. At University of Newcastle, these are our 4 pillars. Yeah. So at University of Newcastle, all of my staff and my students make sure that those 4 pillars are their strong areas. So we research in Centre for Active Living and Learning, Emerging Technologies, Teachers and Teachers Research Centre and Diverse Learners. Everything we do together. Bukan sendiri-sendiri. We research together, we learn together, and I think that's really important. So they're our 4 strengths. Yesterday I asked your teachers what their 4 strengths were here, and I'm collating that at the moment. Thanks, Pat. This is what I'm going to go through today. Your role, local, national, global, as a teacher and as a scholar and as an educator. So hands up those doing PhDs, EdDs and Masters. You are scholars. Everyone else, you are teachers. And they're important. It's important. Today I'll look at what your needs and concerns are. I'll introduce you to backward by design, the law of 3, and multiple factors and stakeholders, and they're all interconnected. All of that is joined together. Indonesia. There are your statistics from Indonesia. Only 0.02% of people in Indonesia have a doctoral degree. Only 0.3% have a master's degree. And less than 5% have bachelor's degrees. Because you are unique, you are privileged, you are lucky to have a job and have a bachelor's degree. Most people do not in Indonesia. With that privilege means that you need to have some responsibilities. So with privilege comes responsibilities, and your responsibility is to make significant contribution to the quality of our students, our schools and society in Indonesia. You have a very, very, very important role. Very important role. Okay? Yes. So you have a very important role. Oh, can you hear? You have a very important role. Again, look at those statistics. In general, I spoke yesterday, in the world, only 2% of people in the world have a PhD. Only 2%, 2 to 5%. Which means it is very special to have a degree. It is not easy. It's difficult at times, but you are a unique group, and that's really important to know. So thank you for your contribution to your students, your schools and society, because you are the leaders. Thank you, Pat. And we're talking about your role then. So that's your role as a globally, your role and everyone in the world is going back to UNESCO goal, the UNESCO Sustainable Development Goals. And your job, can we make that bigger? Can we make that big? Can we make that bigger? Ah, good. So what is your role? Have a look at that list. Because everything you do in education has to be back mapped against those. Because this is, we're doing this globally. All of your work here at university, in a school, in a government, have to look at those and tell you how you're addressing them. So you are looking at number 4, quality education. Also looking at what else? Number 10, reduced inequality. What else? Yep. Number 5, gender equality. Yes. What else? Apalagi. 8, decent work and economic growth. Absolutely. Yes. 16, peace, justice, strong institutions. You are making UNESA a strong institution, and that's important. You've even got your own song. It's clever. So all of those, partnerships for goals, number 17. Clean water and sanitation, that is not your job, but the government's job. Climate action, that is your job, our job, schools' jobs. We have to. If you live by the water, if your school is by the water, then number 14. Hunger. What are we doing about hunger? Is that a school thing? Is it a teacher thing? Yeah, I think we can actually impact a whole range of those. Thank you. Next. So this is your role. This is also your role, is to make sure, and you've seen this picture before, I'm sure. Reality on your left. Some people have lots. Orang kaya, ada banyak. Reality, middle, that's you. Middle class. Teachers, going to university, that's the middle. A lot of people, though, don't have much at all. Then, if we give everyone the same thing, same for you, same for you, same for you, that's equality. But it doesn't help some people. If we give different things to different people, then we've got equity. And at the moment, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, the gap widens. So your role as an educator and the role of government and the role of everyone else who's involved has to try to get to equity. Because we can't get to liberation until we get to equity. And so that's a really important role. So your role as a teacher, as a scholar, as an academic, is to make sure that we get to equity at least. Really important. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any questions about that one? Do people agree? Put your thumbs up if you think that's true. Thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. Okay, good. Where is Indonesia in that? Reality, equality, equity, liberation. Where is Indonesia? Reality for sure. Reality for sure. Okay. And look, I come from a rural and remote area, a regional area in Western Australia, and it's certainly still that. And we often worry about just Surabaya, but there's lots of little schools in rural and remote regions that have less than us, and we need to think about that and how we at this school, university, address that. Okay, thank you. Next. Cassie. Thank you. In Newcastle, we look at the whole person, and it's a bit like the equity piece. Your cognition, your affective domain, and your psychomotor. Your brain, your self-regulation, and your physical piece. When you teach, we have to remember those 3 things, not just cognition. If we just test, then we'll have children who will have mental health issues, etc. and problems. We have to make that middle one, the love heart, we have to make our children learn how to be self-regulated. We have got very many naughty children there at the moment, and it's not their fault if they haven't been taught how to self-regulate. So from early childhood, and I know there's lots of early childhood people here, that is a very, very significant role in early childhood. Get them to be self-regulate, control, and then as they go through schooling, it's better. We can only focus on those three through using inclusive practices, flexible in what we do, technologies, place-based, and a backwards bar design. And many of those things I think you're already doing here. So, does everyone agree? Put your thumbs up again if you think those three things make up a whole person. Good, because they're the domains of learning. Bloom's taxonomy, Bloom's, Freiberg, all talk about these three domains. And you have to, three domains of learning, and sometimes we think we've only been doing that one. Thank you. What's different? So we have a whole person, but we have to put that whole person in a place when we teach. Next. So that whole person is put in a place. And your place, no matter whether you're in Surabaya, whether you're in Malang, or in Bangawangi, wherever you are, you look at your local culture, your local landscapes, your opportunities. You look at your community, and your education should be joining up with all of those. So it's not just education at school is not connected. Education at school is really good to be connected. So if I was going to say in Surabaya, what makes Surabaya Surabaya? What's special about Surabaya? This is your place. This is your place. What's special? What's special about Surabaya? What makes this a place that you're proud of? What local heritage, cultures, landscapes, opportunities, experiences? What are those things about Surabaya? The history of Surabaya, you have an amazing history. I went to a hotel the other day, Orange, Majapahit, and lots of history everywhere. Do your children know that history? A lot, that's good. Some of them, some don't care. What about your natural environment? Sorry? It's a port. It's a port, and so it's Newcastle. University of Newcastle is a port city, same as here. A regional city, same as here. We have lots of connections. The majority of your civic engagement. So a majority of people in Surabaya. What's the main religion in Surabaya? Muslim?
Muslim
and Chinese. And
because we are on the west,
right.
the majority Chinese.
Chinese. Okay, so there are differences in Surabaya than other places. So I think it's important that we all know the differences. So when we talk about people, we have to talk about it in this place. And it's the same with research. We sometimes research and don't say how important this place is. And this place is Indonesia. We're not competing against the other countries. You are your own country, and we want that to improve. Okay, thank you. Next. So whole child, whole teacher, and then whole place. And within that whole child, the whole teacher, and in the place, they're within a system and a structure. Now the systems, the systems of education in Indonesia is changing. You are getting far more private schools, far more religious schools, far more, I think, international schools, but I'm not going to say international. But your state schools are getting smaller and not as well resourced. Is that right? Is that right? It's the same in Australia. And that's a problem. It's a major, major problem. And government needs to make sure that they attend to it. And we need to keep government looking up to it, because many of our children don't have a choice. Even though there's private schools, this school, that school, most of our children do not have a choice. They have a choiceless choice. They can only go to school down the road unless they've got some money. Then they can do the private. It is not a fair system. And when we go back to equity, that picture, we actually are not helping. We are making that gap wider. Okay, so within the system, there's leadership. Hands up the people studying their leadership. Education leadership. Angkat tangan kalau belajar management. Okay, good. Okay, so leadership, the law of three, backward by the sign, and these are the things that are all connected. Let's go. Yep, next. Oh, sorry. You are all leaders. You are all teachers, so you're all leaders. Which one of those leaders are you?
Democratic, I think. Yes. Invite them to think together.
Anyone else? Who's a pace setter? Do as I do now. And they've got an idea and they want to run with it. Hey? Ibu Neni. You're a pace setter. You're commanding. Do what I tell you to do. Okay. Who's a visionary? Who would be your visionary in this school of education? Would that be your dean? Is he visionary? Visionary. When they've got an idea, they come with me, we've got a vision. We're moving forward. Then you've got leaders who people come first and they look after their people. Can you be more than one? Yes. Tergantung pada situasi. Yes. It really does depend on your situation. But you need to know as leaders, and Daniel Goleman from the Harvard Business Review talks about these. And he said, yes, you can have IQ, you can be very clever. Yes, you can have technical skills. But if you don't have these emotional skills, the emotional intelligence, your leadership isn't going to be as good as it could be. You need to be aware of other people. And you will find yourself going in and out of each of those. Sometimes you just need the job done. And if you need the job done, which one of those are you going to do? Commanding. Okay? Some of them, like if we're trying to find out what our best groups of research are, if we're trying to find out where we all research and what will pull us together, which one would we use? If we're trying to get people to come together and work out what they think where things should go. Democratic, yeah. Once you've designed something, a vision, and you want people to work with you, and you know in your own thing there's some people that will work with you and some people that don't, how do we bring them all together? Then we'll need affiliative. We have to be affiliative in our approach. If you want to train up and upskill and bring everyone in together, you do the coaching. Okay? Try this, improve on that. Because Any team is only as good as its weakest player. We have to make that weak player good, because sometimes our weak players feel isolated and they drop off. We have to make them feel part of it. So you are teachers, you are academics, and that's really important that you see yourself as a leader, because you are privileged and you have to lead in your field. No matter what age you are or how experienced you are, we are all leaders. Thank you. So I said I'm going to teach you 4 things. First one, the leadership styles. Second one, the rule of 3s. Why do we use 3? We have the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost in the Trinity. We've got cognitive, affective, psychomotor. We have birth, life, and death. We've got red, yellow, and green traffic lights. We have students, teachers, and families. Why is number 3 so important in leadership and in our lives? Has anyone heard of the rule of 3? The law, fundamentally, cognitively, it says that you can only keep things. 3 is probably the maximum things that you can use if it's deep cognitive learning. Else it will impact your decision making. So when you set your goals for the day or the week, you usually do 3 because you know you can achieve it. Comte, and he's in the 1800s, a philosopher, said that there's 3 stages of human development. You have your theological stage, your religious stage, your metaphysical stage when you're transitioning, and then your scientific stage, which we're in at the moment with research. So there's 3 stages of human development. There's stages in your cognitive processing. When you break down tasks into manageable sets of 3, it helps with decision making. You do 1, 2, 3. It makes your life easier. And the survival rule in all facets of our lives, number 3 comes up. Survival. You can only live without air for 3 minutes. You can only, or without shelter for 3 hours if you're out in the sun or the cold. If you're in the snow or if you're in the extreme heats, 3 hours will kill you. Without water, 3 days. And without food for 3 weeks after those 3. So 3 is a really simple number, but when you think about when you're writing as well, you typically write 1, 2, and 3. When you're explaining something, you'll explain them with adjectives and things that have 1, 2, and 3. It just feels right. And you'll have your boss and your 2 deputies. 1, 2, 3. Holy Trinity sometimes. So the rule and the law of 3s is historically well researched, but it permeates your whole life. As a leader, in early childhood, if I look at my early childhood students, my littlies, they certainly can only remember 3 things. Give them 1 more, gone. Or sometimes you just tell them, go to the door, pick up the bag and eat your lunch. That's enough. If you say, go to the door, pick up your bag, eat your lunch and do something else, typically may not remember it. And that in the middle, student, teacher, family is another 3. When we look at education, those 3 things are interconnected, as is birth, life, and death, as is cognitive, affective, psychomotor. Have you got any other examples of 3s in your life? Apa lagi? Sorry. Maaf. You've got one? Food, clothing, shelter. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Good. Any more? Any more? That's a great. Yes. Sorry? Past, present, future. Yes. History, yeah, or past, present, future. Past, future. Maybe. That's right. That's right. Any other examples of threes, the rule of three? Think of you as a mum or as... Is there anything as a parent? Parents, grandparents, children, yes. What else? What do you do during the day? You eat, you work, you sleep. Typically eat, work, sleep. So look, the law. I wanted to introduce you to the rule and law of thirds because it permeates throughout all of your leadership. When you're a leader, try to do things in three. It's easier to remember, and easier for your people to remember. When you're teaching, sometimes using three. Any more than 3 dot points, too many. Thank you. Next. 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 technicians up there helping us out. 3 is better than 1. Thanks. Next. Okay, this one you might need the big screen. So we've looked at power of 3. The power of 3 now is in this program, Understanding by Design. It's about learning. And J. McTighe and Grant Wiggins came up with this over 12 years ago. It is permeated through a whole range of things. It's called Understanding by Design, but an easy way of remembering it is backwards by design. Their approach is if you want to get somewhere, you need to know what you want at the end. What do you want at the end? Do I want good students? Do I want them to be good at mathematics? Do I want them to be able to jump over that, over a log? What do I want them to do? It's very, very simple. Focus on the teaching assessment and the curriculum backward mapping for that. So they say, work out what your outcome is, your desired outcome. Then don't teach. Then you assess, because your assessment will help inform your teaching. Typically, we plan some activities and we assess at the end. They're saying, find out what your outcome is. What assessment will tell you that that outcome's achieved? So like driving a car. I want to be able to drive a car. What assessment do I need to make sure that I can drive a car? What assessment do I have to do? So I want to be able to drive a car. What's my assessment? The driver's test. The driving test. Do you have to have a driving test here? Yep, driving test. Then, so you know what your goal is, you know what the assessment is, and then you can do your teaching and learning. We do it back the front. We do our teaching and learning and hope that they get the outcome. This is a different approach, and it's very effective, and it works in most classrooms or settings, or even when I do a PowerPoint like this. What is it? What's the outcome? I'm assessing if people are picking up throughout, and then at the end, what's my learning strategies throughout? So what's the outcome? What's the evidence that I've achieved my outcome? And then you work out what your learning experiences are. And some of those learning experiences might be the assessments. That's fine. They have a really good strategy, the UBD template on the left, that you can use. So backwards by design. Next, thanks. What does that mean, though, for you as educators? Next. Yeah, thanks. tahap backward design. So you identify your results. Tukkan bukti, what's your evidence that you can get for those results, and then you do your planning. So the top one is what I did today for my presentation. What was my desired learning result? I want you to know the role of a teacher, the law of threes, backward design. What evidence I'm going to see. Some of you have taken notes, some of you have taken photos, some of you have engaged, some of you have reflected, so that's the evidence. And then the activities are this engagement with us, my learning plan. So that's my talk. You can do it with anything. The way you plan your unit of work, the way you plan your writing, whatever it might be. If you're doing a study, what's my study going to end up like? How am I going to assess that that's right? Okay, thank you. Next. Now, it is very clear in your schools in Indonesia that this is the Pancasila, the Pelajar Pancasila, that your country, your nation, wants your children to be that Pancasila, yes? Characteristics. I've put the UBD down the bottom. If that is your country's desired outcome, what assessment, number two, so number one, desired outcome is that. Number two, evidence. What assessment and how are you going to evidence that a child is mandiri, benala kritis, creative, bergotong royong? How are we going to say that? What's our assessment? What are we doing in schools to say that we're doing that? We can't just say we want Pelajar Pancasila. It's a nice outcome. What we have to say is how do we evidence that we've got that? What assessment have we got in our system to say that we are doing that? Because some of our students will not be passing that. Some of our students are not mandiri. How do we assess them? Because once we know how we assess them, what are some of the ways? Tell me what you think. How do we assess? Pick something like berkebanekaan, global, that's internationalization, yeah? A global, international. How do we assess that? It's okay if I'm rich and I can go on a holiday. It's okay if I can go on a study trip. But if I'm not rich, how do I achieve that? I can watch TV, international TV shows, and learn about TV shows. You know, there are ways I can be international by exposing them to international contexts. So it's an interesting piece. What's the desired outcome? But secondly, what and how do I assess that? Because that's sulit, yeah? That's difficult. What are you doing now to address that? I just need some ideas. What's happening? Watching movies about other countries could help. And then how do I assess that? Not just, she watched a movie, tick. Or they can just talk to you about it. You can ask them questions. Asking questions is fine. They don't have to write something all the time. You can just answer a question. Interview them. What about bergotong royong? How would we assess bergotong royong? How do we assess that? Do we help? And if a child, we've got some children that don't want to help with each other, they just want to work kerja sendiri. So how do we assess that? I think I've spelt a word wrong. Learning plan number 3. So before you even think about what you teach, and this is something I really want to get through today, before you think about planning your teaching, you have to look at number 1 and number 2 first. You have to look at number 1 and number 2 first. What's the desired outcome? And what assessment is going to show me that that desired outcome has been achieved? Once we've done those two, then you go to your learning. but at the moment we all do it different, back to front. Okay? So, thank you. Next one. This is your national education goals, your Indonesian's Ed System Framework. There's a really good article, if you do your scanning QR code on that article, that's Innovasi has done a review of your curriculum, and it's a very good read. If you haven't read it, where's my phone? That's a really good article. Any questions about that? And look again, curriculum structure, curriculum achievement, and assessment principles. Even your curriculum does the rule of threes. It's evident everywhere. Okay? Any questions about that one? It's a good article. Okay, so we've done the whole child. We've done it in a place, in its context, which is Indonesia. We've looked at planning backwards by design. Oop. Thanks, next. And then the last rule of three is in terms of teaching practice, and it's what you do. The most important rule of three for me is what you say, what you do, and how you relate. If we get our early childhood children and our leaders, our management group, thinking every time about what they say, what they do, and how they relate, then you'll change your culture. If you've got people who speak badly, they don't do much, and they're rude to other people, what sort of culture will that develop? Not a good one. But if you say, if you want to role model good practice, then you have to, your sayings, your doings, and your relatings have to be positive. They have to be inclusive. They have to be, and help with equity. So your sayings, doings, and relatings are really, really important. Stephen Kemmis is from close to where I live. He's an older retired man and someone whose wisdom is just amazing. So if you look at this philosophy-wise, we've gone from logic to physics to ethics. And if you look at the second box on the left-hand side, your sayings, doings, and relatings link directly to your cognitive, psychomotor, and affective, the love heart, the mind, and the body. Those three things, and that's Bloom's taxonomy. So language, your work, and your power. So this slide has helped pull everything together from the other slides. It's saying no matter what we do, the sayings, doings, and relatings will impact what happens in our classrooms, in our offices, in our workplaces, in our schools, and in families. How parents speak to their children, how parents and what parents do with their children and how they relate will determine the type of child that they develop. Same with your classroom. What you say to your children, what you do with your children, and how you relate with the children in your classroom will determine the culture of that classroom. If you're mean to some children and not others, that's certainly not equitable. You have to be a role model. Your language, the things you do, and how you relate are really, really essential. And that's what makes a great leader. Would you agree? Who agrees with that? Does that make sense? Yeah? Simple. Sometimes we have to keep things a bit simple. Thank you. Next. So I've introduced you to lots of things today. Education is complex. We have to cater local, national, international. International trends tell Indonesia what to do. The OECD, everyone tells Indonesia what to do. They tell Australia what to do. At the moment, and I feel very passionate about this, with the standardisation of education, how on earth do they expect Australia and Indonesia to be the same? That is false. And you are setting up countries to fail. And I consider standardisation to be a bit like colonisation. It can have some major impacts. So education is complex, and we are being pressured by a range of different people. Teaching is complex. You have to attend to student, family, staff and school needs. So that's why it's really important. My message today is keep it simple. Create the culture and outcomes you desire. And you can do that by your sayings, doings and relatings. And you can do it by using the understanding by design, the backward model. What are your desired goals? What assessment will tell me I've achieved my desired goals? And then my teaching and learning practices. Now, I've covered a lot in that time, in that 1 hour, and I just really would love some questions now, because I think that's the last slide. Yes, if you go back to that one, go back. I want to leave you with this one, and I'd love some questions. Yes.
Maybe if you know the government programs in Indonesia, it calls P3K, if you know. Nah, the non-state schools have trained them, the teachers, become the great teachers, and making them into the teachers, real teachers, and they follow the government programs, and the government take them for teaching to the state schools. What do you think about that program? I mean,
Well,
they
you
can.
tell me for.
I think the government can make the teachers to stay in that non-state schools, so they not take the teachers to the state school, so they can stay in that non-state schools. Yeah, what do you think about that programs?
Two issues there. One, why are they going to the non-state schools and increasing? Yes, yeah. So, and people want to go into the non-state schools. How do we keep people in the state school system?
We give them the training programs to increase their personality, their competencies, and
So sekarang ada perbedaan di antara guru dari state dan guru dari non-state? Ada perbedaan atau hanya tempat yang lain?
Yeah, public school, non-state school.
Apa perbedaannya?
Uh,
School and private school.
The teachers.
maybe from the fee, it's different.
The pay.
Yeah, from the
Salary.
salary, from the
Well, then-
salary they.
Then they'll need to do what Australia has just done, and all teachers are now getting paid the same, whether state, public, or whatever. So we have a teachers' rise for our state schools. We've just had a teachers' increase in wage. Because then why would people go? You know, we have to make things equitable. We go back to that other. Can we go back to that picture right at the very top? The equity, equality, etc.
Yeah. Maybe I think because many of that school, non-state schools or public schools, they don't have some budgets to pay their teacher with standards, national standards.
So they're public.
Yeah, so they move to they not move. They apply or they register to government programs. So the government take that teachers to teaching in the state schools. Yeah.
So that's opposite to what I was thinking. So you're saying that some of the private or public schools don't have enough money to keep their teachers there.
Maybe they can follow the government programs, but the government can make them stay in that school, in the last school, so they
that's a
don't
system.
have to take so they
That's a
don't have to
system
take
structure.
the teachers.
What I might get you to do, have we got paper, Nenny, just a piece of paper for everyone so they can write what they think? Or concern you have about education in Indonesia. The number one issue for you, what's the most important thing that you would love to change, or what is it that's difficult at the moment? What is it?
I think the most important is
Yeah,
if you talk about the salary,
salary.
really complicated. The teachers who teach in private school, they have higher salary comparing them teaching.
And we did the same in Australia, but now we've got our state schools are being paid the same as private because the government has realised if they don't support the state school system, then it will get worse, and that's not good.
Especially, it can also influence the quality of education as public schools.
That's right. Yep. Could you tell them the one question?
Bapak Ibu silakan di paper yang tadi sudah dibuat.
No, I will still take questions, but I just want you to write down the number one issue for Indonesia.
Okay.
Schools turning. Yeah.
Ditulis isu yang terjadi dengan sistem pendidikan di Indonesia.
And then they can do a question as well. And then they can do a question. Hot issues.
That
Hot
we-
issues. So if you do one hot issue and one question.
Ya, usually case or
Yeah. Yeah.
our country.
Yeah. So one question and one issue.
Apa yang sekarang lagi booming kita
Go back to the picture of the equity, equality.
silakan 2 menit. 2 minutes. Just write down first one issues, that related to education's problem in our country. And the second one is write down.
Tes mic sudah.
Whoop. Yes.
Okay, in my opinion, the hot issue in our country related to the education is the changing of curriculum.
Yes.
Just information, the curriculum in Indonesia has changed about 10
so
or
many times.
10 or 5 times.
Yes.
10 or 5 times. And in my opinion, the reason why the quality of education in Indonesia not so high compares to other countries like Australia, America, and the others is because the curriculum changed a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Look, I
So
thi- yeah.
this condition make us as a teacher and students always to keep adjusting the new standard all the time, and that's become the big problem for us.
Yes.
So my question, do you think that the changing of curriculum is normal or necessary to improve the quality of education? Do you think that in your country, what are the requirements or standard that we are going to use if we want to change the curriculum? Maybe you can compare with your country.
Look,
Thank you.
I will compare with Australia. Australia is the same as Indonesia, and so with every other country around the world, there's curriculum change all the time. It's very frustrating, and it's puts a lot of pressure on our staff, our teachers, and more so our students. And they seem to be adding more and more and more with the same time. So I think we need to have reform in curriculum by not changing it, by looking at what we currently have. Because I think your new curriculum is actually quite an okay one. To have a focus on Pancasila is a good thing. The characteristics.
But maybe, after the new president,
Yes.
our curriculum
Will change
uh,
again.
yes,
Please.
there has the potential to be replaced again.
Yes, well, let's hope it doesn't. But what I would like to do is actually, we should look at what the basics is. It's keep it simple. Go back to, in the curriculum, if I put curriculum 13, I think, and then there was curriculum, I can't remember, there's about 5, I think, 5 main curriculums. If we put that in AI, through all of those curriculums into the AI system, they would come out with commonalities. There's your curriculum. There would be some core pieces in there. Not all of it, but I think we need to be clever at using AI. And we need to stand up as teachers and say, because we are one of the biggest workforces, teacher education. So look at the curriculum and say what's doable and what's not. Our curriculum in Australia, some of our curriculum is this one here. We give curriculum the same, curriculum the same, curriculum the same. That doesn't help. The curriculum should be changed at the local level so that you can give them what they need at the local level. But when you have standardization, this is standardization. And it's not fair. This, we have to change the curriculum to suit. We always do. Teachers are good at changing curriculum to suit the local needs. Because the needs of someone in Surabaya city at a private school is quite different to a rural or remote school that has unqualified teachers. So, I think we go back to this and have this in our mind all the time when we make decisions. How and what are we doing? If we're only doing this, and that's what curriculum is sometimes, give them all the same. Give them all that same curriculum. It's not fair, and it's certainly not equitable. So my argument is there will never be a perfect curriculum. Just make do with what you've got and make sure the government is accountable for it. They have to say, well, we're changing to this curriculum because here's the evidence of the last curriculum. They don't do that. They just make up a new curriculum. Where's the evidence? And so that piece we talked about before, backward by design, what does this curriculum want you to get? What assessment do we need to show you've got it? And then what teaching and learning can we do here? So I'm with you, curriculum is frustrating. Curriculum is always changing. I don't think curriculum should stay the same, but it shouldn't be changed so much so often. We have to say to ourselves, what is it that we want our students to get? What's education for? And if I had to say, if Sue Ledger could design a curriculum, go to the next one, with the love heart, I would design a curriculum that would foreground those things: cognition, affective domain, and psychomotor, and I'd use technologies and inclusive practices to make sure that all of my students are good students, they've got some knowledge, and they're fit and healthy. It's pretty basic, isn't it? Pretty basic. We sometimes get caught up on trying to do too much. And when we try to do too much, we actually don't achieve much at all. That was a very good question. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, Shelley. Yeah. Yeah.
Improvement of the previous curriculum.
Yeah.
So when we, maybe you can slide the previous one.
Let's go back to the pictures.
The previous slide. The equity things. Okay. So on the previous curriculum, like we point to the equality. So all of the standards are implemented in all of the area, and we do not mapping out the characteristics and also the conditions of each area and also the students, of course. But for now, we start to point in this graph, the equity. So we support the students, we support the schools based on their characteristics, and we provide the fit conditions. For example, for now, our our instructional system, we conduct the 3 kinds of assessment. The first assessment is the diagnostic assessment. This kind of assessment is to support the teachers to create a fit learning environment and also the techniques or method of the instructional process. So I think this kind of graph or picture is like a comparison between the previous curriculum and also the current curriculum. And not only for the instructional process, the last slides, please. Last slide. Ya, yang terakhir, Mas. So Prof. Susan mentioned about the last. Okay, after this slide. Satu lagi yang terakhir. Terus, okay. So Prof. Susan already mentioned about that education and teaching is complex, but we always forget about the leadership's process and managerial process that actually these factors is really influence the culture and also the environment that the school have to develop.
I should have leadership is complex
Yes.
too up there.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll type that in. I'll
So-
actually go and type it in right now.
All of this kind of process, all of this kind of stage is mandatory actually. So the curriculum changing, the system instructional process changing is not a problem, but it's improvement of the quality of education. Thank you.
Any more questions, please? Ladies and gentlemen. Master. For
And I'll give you an example. Saya baru kembali dari United States. Had a meeting there with all of the deans of education. They have 800 universities or institutes that deliver teacher education, and many of them are not universities. It's a bit like that, unqualified. So they have tried, and it concerns me in America because they have deprofessionalized teacher education, and they've made it more as a training, and they'll say training, apprenticeships, all sorts of things. So they're looking at teaching as a technician, as a technical approach, and that's not what teachers are. Teachers are professional. We're taught and we understand complexity of our students. And there are so many programs now that you can become a teacher in 8 weeks. Become a teacher, not accredited. And that worries me. And I would, and I understand that government is trying to respond to teacher shortages, but I don't think that's a healthy way of doing it. I think it is making the teaching a less, a profession that's less desirable by doing that. What we need to do is raise the profile of the teaching profession, not devalue it. And to me, that devalues it a little bit. That's just my personal opinion, not University of Newcastle or anyone else. That's Sue Ledger speaking on that piece. So that worries me.
Thank you so much for the answer.
Thank you. Okay, now we've got, did you collect up the papers? My one issue, one question, if you could collect up those. Just so I can actually do something at the end. Thank you. Okay, we've spoken a lot about leadership already, but what we haven't spoken about much is early childhood and leadership in early childhood. Where are my early childhood people? Hands up if you're angkat tangan kalau early childhood. Okay, a few. Early childhood, good. What are the concerns for early childhood in general in Indonesia? Thank you. Can I just get you to talk to your partners about early, if you're a leader, if you're PhD, if you're EdD, if you're bachelor, I want you to talk to your neighbour and tell me what you think about early childhood, what we're doing now and what we could do better. Okay, go, because early childhood is really important to me. So talk to your partner and come up with what you think early childhood should be doing and what are some issues or concerns and what could we do better.
Okay, maybe I have an issue from early childhood education. Uh,
Maybe the battery.
Hello, test.
So, in my opinion, based on my major, early child education, the learning that provided by the teacher is repeating. So, it's only repeat year after year. So, the activity is only that. So, maybe the teacher doesn't have any idea of making some activity that can stimulate the children. Also, I think there's no equality in early children education because based on stigma in Surabaya, private school much more better than the public school because of the teaching quality. So, I think that is the biggest issue because the stigma on Surabaya people, they always say that uh, public school is more better, much better than sorry, uh, private school much more better than the public school because you can see based on the teacher, you can see how the teacher teaching or method they use. We have Montessori, we have uh, Reggio Emilia, like so many teaching approach, but in public school we don't have. So we only based on curriculum, only teach and give activity from the curriculum. So I think that is the issues that really concern us majoring in
Yeah.
early child education.
Is there research to show that? Or is this just myth and rumour? Where is the research that shows that private school, because we've done some big studies in Australia, and our private schools are not out achieving our state schools. But perception, yes.
Yes, just so it's a stigma. Not, I think, based on the last seminar, there are so many teachers from public school asking about Montessori teaching approach, and they say that we can apply that curriculum in our school because our school it's not like your school like that. So I think it based on not research but stigma.
And oleh sebab itu, your job as researchers, as EdD or Masters or PhD, Your job is to make sure that we do research that is significant. If that is a significant issue, then we should be researching that and giving government data about it and putting it in newspapers and the conversation and all the other things to show what actually is happening. Because there is no doubt, if I'm in a school that's well resourced, then I can do different things to the schools that hasn't. It does not mean I'm doing better teaching. So we have to actually see what actually is happening. There might be some great private schools doing great things, but equally we have to find the state schools that are doing great things and focus on those too. So I think what you've just brought up is an issue that is a societal issue. It's perception, it's not actual, and we need to actually get some research to highlight whether it is true or not. If it is true, then government needs to support state schools. If it's not true, then state schools. Okay, so I think it's a big issue. Perception and myth is really bad for education, and particularly when the newspapers and when government officials and when a whole range of other send their children to private schools. When they make policies, they're making it for the private, not the state. So we have to be accountable, and the only way you can do that is by research. That's why it's so important that we do research on these issues of concern. National, there should be data on that somewhere. If not, as researchers, we need to find it and make it. So I'm a big pro-state school system because the majority of our students go to state schools, and we want the majority of our students to get excellent education in a state school system. Just because they're in a private school does not mean they are better teachers. Okay, so it's a myth, but a great question, like a really tough question, but one that we need to action. Okay, well done.
Okay. Yes. Her statements. This is also, it was 4 years ago. I had some questionnaire that addressed to the parents from the children's in primary school in Malang, exactly, because mostly they are put their children to private school who has a high quality and also pricely. So mostly based on their opinions, and because they were satisfied with the quality, even pricely. This is the choice because they don't trust public school. I mean in the area. This is related to the result of a questionnaire that I had given to the parents. Yes, experience perceptions.
Because most children, it's a choiceless choice. They don't have choice. Most children, it's choiceless choice. So by having lots of different schools is only appealing to certain families. And that's sad. We want our best teachers in our schools and for our students that need the best teachers. That's the equity piece. Sometimes we don't. We might have our youngest. I mean, my cousins live out in the country, and for 12 years, they've had a graduate teacher every year of their schooling. First year out teacher every year. Never had a maths teacher in their whole schooling life. So that's difficult. Any other questions? Oh, at a Zoom.
So maybe is there any questions from the participants who join in the Zoom? Please, maybe you can write down in the column chats or up your hands. Mungkin bisa ditunjukkan zoomnya. Yeah, because at least today we have 100 participants who join online. Yeah, also some participants join by YouTube. So at least totally we have more than 300 participants. Yeah. Yeah. Bisa nggak, Mas? Ditunjukin di Zoom, please. Please, other participants who join in the Zoom, please, can you up your hands and unmute that you would like to asking questions. Jadi Bapak Ibu yang join di Zoom, silakan kalau punya pertanyaan silakan boleh ditulis di kolom chat atau raise hand. Bisa nggak? Hah? Coba di chat box. Chat boxnya bisa kelihatan nggak? Itu aduh kecil sekali. Mungkin Helen bisa bawa laptopmu nggak? Kamu join Zoom nggak? I'm very happy with the arrival of Professor Susan to provide enthusiasm and new insight to educational studies and aspect that by Bu Nuno. Ya, Bu Nuno. Terima kasih Bu Nuno. Silakan Bapak Ibu menuliskan di kolom chat jika Bapak Ibu ingin bertanya terkait dengan topik hari ini ke Profesor Susan. Kita buka satu atau dua penanya dari participants yang join by Zoom. Look at that, Professor. We have almost 100 participants who join by Zoom. Silakan Bapak Ibu kalau ada yang bertanya yang hari ini join dengan Zoom, silakan tulis di kolom chat atau angkat tangan. Sekali lagi bagi Bapak Ibu yang join Zoom, silakan yang mau bertanya untuk raise hand atau Bapak Ibu bisa menuliskan di kolom chat yang ada di Zoom. okay.
Okay, good. And it's good stats for you to take. Next. Useful or not?
Useful.
Next. Useful or not?
It's reality.
Very useful.
Very useful.
Very special.
Yeah.
Next. Useful or not? I
It's
think that's one of
very
my
relate.
favourites too,
Yeah.
because thinking about a person as a whole is really important. Now, whether early childhood or leadership, and that you're leading no matter where you are, no matter what role you're in. Okay. Next. Useful or not? Good, because that one we sometimes forget. We sometimes forget about place. And you should be proud of Indonesia and proud of Surabaya. I think we have this false sense that Indonesia is not as good as others or this, that, no. That is false. We may have higher rankings, we may have whatever, but it is a biased result. America and England typically have the biggest journals. They have, that's where the power is. And you'll find that the rankings in no matter what country will be English and American. Now we're learning about the rankings, we'll get better at it. But we have to realise there are some inherent biases in how we rank. And it certainly does not favour developing countries. So you should never compare yourself. It'd be like comparing yourself as a rural and remote student to a wealthy private school student. Is that fair? Is that appropriate? No. So don't judge against others. That's why I don't like standardisation. But that's just me. Next. It's a big crowded place to be going. Next. Useful or not? I think it's a reminder. It's useful to remind yourself about the type of leader, because you're all leaders. You don't have to have a title to be a boss. You are all leaders, and you can fluctuate between those. Thank you. Next. Useful or not? The rule of threes. I like it because it just reminds us it's something simple and it impacts all components of our lives. Next. Oh, go back to that one. On the big screen. And one of the big notes of one of the big 3 hours, don't have a class longer than 3 hours. 3 hours, unfortunately, 3 hours class is too long. Anything more than 3 hours, too long. Next. So that's useful. Good. Next. This one, it's very brief, it's too much on it. But is the understand by design useful? Or not? Useful. I think you have to sort of maybe look at it and read it a bit more, and really, the more you see it and understand it, the better it is. The better it is. Next. That's just my one. Next, that one's just useful or not. Looking at a curriculum and then seeing how you use universal by design principles down the bottom. Desired outcome, what evidence and assessment is going to tell you you've achieved your desired outcome, and then what learning plans. Next. Your national education goals and how they've structured it has those power of threes, the rule of three, in your curriculum structure, your achievements and your assessment principles. But it's also been well reviewed by Innovasi the big group Innovasi education thing, and that's that hot link, the QR code there. So I hope you find that useful. Was that useful? The QR code? Did you get to that page? Try to, and I think there's an Indonesian version of it. There's one that is, this one's an English one, but I think it has been translated. Yeah, okay. Next, sayings, doings, and relatings. Useful or not? Useful. Why? I want someone to tell me why they think that's useful.
Ada yang bisa ngasih alasan kenapa ini sangat penting?
It tells you how important your role is as a teacher and as a leader, because the students pick up everything. Everything you say, everything you do, and how you relate to them, whether you're academic at university or a classroom teacher, they will know what you say, what you do, and how you relate. They will get a sense of the culture that you're developing. Anything else about this, the sayings, doings, and relatings? Have you got people in your colleagues? Have you got colleagues that sayings, doings, and relatings could improve? These are the sorts of things we need to talk about as teachers and as colleagues and as workplaces. Our workplaces have to be safe places, and they can only be safe places if what you say, what you do, and how you relate is respectful, if it's inclusive. And the really, really important factors of being a good leader is ensuring that your workplace or your classroom is safe, and that everybody feels safe to be in that classroom. Think of some of the meetings you go to. Do you feel safe? Do you feel respected? These are the sorts of things that Stephen Kemmis talks about in his papers. If you haven't read his papers, go to Stephen Kemmis. He has a great website. I think I might have put it up on the page before. Go back. Can you just go back one? Oh, sorry. No, forward one, not back. Lanjut. Yeah. Lanjut. Lanjut. Keep going. Keep going. No, forward. This way. Go down to the end. Yang terakhir. Yeah. See Kemmis. If you click on Kemmis, click. Tekan Kemmis. Tekan Kemmis. I think I've done a hot link. Down, down. Click. Yeah. Click. That should take us to a website. Oh, it's because it's Zoom on. I may not be able to do it because of Zoom, but it'll go into the... It's got a hot link. Yes. So go up to the top. And if you click on the things on the right-hand side, the theory of practice, there. Down. Subtle. There. Up. There. So this will give you some of his publications and how it's turned out, and there's some PowerPoints and things on there. So it's Stephen Kemmis and his work. It's been around for a long time, Pedagogy, Education and Praxis. He's a very famous person, and he's from very close to us in Newcastle. And I just think his sayings, doings and relatings are really important. So I've given you that hot link. When you get the PowerPoint, you can go to that page and read some of the things that he's done. Participatory action research, if you click on that one, 1, 2, 3 down. Oh, no. On the right hand, di sebelah kanan. the top. Try that one. Yep, click, click, tekan. And so he talks about each of these programs really well, and he gives you that hot link to his paper. So thank you. If you go back to the PowerPoint now. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, back to the PowerPoint and to the very that page. Yep, thank you. I have just made the changes to that. Thanks, Shelley. And I've sent that to Nenny, and Nenny will send it to everyone so that everyone will get the most up-to-date version of it. I think that's handy. Okay. Now, we've covered a lot of things today, and I feel as if I've talked a lot, but I want you guys to be involved in discussion. So, can I get all my leaders to stand up? People doing education management. Where's my education management? Harus
Berdiri.
berdiri, silakan berdiri.
Stand up. Degree, master degree and doctoral degree.
So, masters and doctoral. And I'm just going to come around. I'm just going to come around, and I want you to tell me, if you can tell them, I want them to tell me what their special area is that they're studying.
Area atau bidang yang dipelajari apa aja?
This is their passion. What's
Yeah.
their passion?
Apa passion
For
Bapak
research.
Ibu selama belajar di MP? KMP-an.
In Indonesia ya, leadership.
Spesifikasinya leadership kan?
Kepemimpinan di bidang kepala sekolah, headmaster. Iya, yes.
The teachers.
I also interested in leadership also. How about to manage the institution and how about manage the system? It's very important. So I have new knowledge when I study here, and then it's a very price time for me to meet you. I get many additional knowledge
Thank
about
you.
the leadership also.
Thank you. And what you said about leadership, because leadership now in schools is not just leading pedagogy. In the past, it used to be pedagogy, but now finance, staffing, etc., etc. It's a big job. And we have to say, should they be doing that? Or should we leave our principals and headmasters to be pedagogical leaders and visionaries? At the moment, many of our principals and headmasters have become businessmen. Is that what we want? That's a good question.
Actually, the knowledge about leadership can be developed broad.
Yes.
For example, when you sit by presenting about the chemist statement about saying
Yes.
and doing and we call
Relating. Yeah.
it is one sense that leadership can be implemented in leadership.
Absolutely.
That in many things.
Yes.
In the scope of leadership,
Right.
it must be we have to have a statement by saying,
Yes.
and then we spread our statement with
Yes.
our staff,
Yes.
and then we have to do together,
Yes.
and then we have to relate in order to get the
To parents and students.
parents,
and
students, social,
Yeah.
even our nation.
Right.
It deals with the social relation.
Yes.
We have to spread our knowledge for the bigger
Absolutely.
goals. Thank
See,
you.
you're all learning from everyone else here, not just me and the person up here. So thank you for your contributions. Next.
Saya di leadership
Leadership.
bimbel.
Pimble. Upper Pimble. Oh, course. Okay, you're doing the courses, leadership courses. Okay, so Masih Belajar. Yeah, yeah. No, no. Oh, extra courses after school. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Yes.
Ya. Apa tadi pertanyaan?
Leadership. What's your passion? What's your study? What's your focus?
Yang saya fokuskan di manajemen S2 manajemen pendidikan ini yaitu sumber daya pendidikan.
Human resource.
Human resources in
So more
education.
business orientated, no?
Human resources in education. Jadi bagaimana itu juga yang menjadi penelitian saya, bagaimana nanti sekolah
Yes.
mengelola segala sumber daya yang ada di sekolah itu untuk memaksimalkan potensi peserta didik.
So supporting your human workforce.
Yeah,
And
school management.
increasing their
School
okay.
management.
Great, interesting. Because people are our most valuable asset. Thank you.
My focus is in leadership of the same one of headmaster because I am the principal of the elementary school.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I'm studying in management.
Management.
Yeah, for my undergraduate,
Yeah.
and this master is in education magister. Yeah.
So if you're learning to, like, any study is improving. You want to look at self-improvement, school improvement, staff improvement. So to do that, if that's where you want to be, how are you going to get there? That backwards by design or universal by design might help. Thank you.
Yeah, I can learn about education management yaitu terkait how to be a good teacher
Excellent.
because I'm young teacher
Yes, I can tell.
at vocational school.
Great. Well, look, we have in Newcastle, you can Google Jenny Gore quality teaching model, or just do quality teaching model, and it's a really good teaching method, and it gets your other staff working together, reflective practice, and talking about how to become better teachers. It's called quality teaching model. Okay.
Yeah,
Well done.
thank
Good
you.
luck. But
Okay, thank you. I choose education management because I want to learn about evaluation and supervision in education. That's the big-
supervision.
like academic supervision.
Right.
So
Okay.
my concern to the new topic like mentoring and coaching in supervision.
Okay, so as a leader, you would be the coaching person down on this end. Okay, very good.
Maybe that's all about.
Well, you need to look at our School of Education Centre for Active Living and Learning. They have a coaching piece. So I'll get all the connect emails and things that you can, or the websites that you can link to. Centre for Active Living and Learning. Coaching is a good piece. Over on this side, I know, Shelley, your leadership.
Tend to higher education management for my research area. Higher education management.
Actually, I don't have a concern about the educational management yet because I am the new student in here. But uh, I'm con I'm concerned about the curriculum. Yeah, curriculum of schools. Uh, it, yeah, because it's too big and always changing. Like uh, before. Yeah.
But bisa nggak apa-apa. Okay, thank you, bro. Should I stand? Okay. Okay, what is it the question about, bro? What is the
Jadi
question?
concernnya di bagi PAUD tentang apa? Passionnya.
Okay, my passion in early childhood is the approaches or the methods to the children.
Teaching method.
Yes, the teaching methods to the
Especially
children.
teaching for the kids.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. Because the children has so many unique way to develop their own potential. That's why I love to looking forward about that.
Okay.
Yes. That's amazing, bro. Thank you, bro.
My passion is being being like Shelly. My passion is in ethnopedagogy, especially for mathematics education. For mathematics, the biggest issue since I'm since I've been studying the curriculum 2013, when the government tries to develop the curriculum using the local context, and when I explore in mathematics education for elementary school, I can say that they fail to connect the cultures and the Indonesian context into the mathematics learning, because every time they try to connect the theme, the big theme in the curriculum, they can do it in Bahasa Indonesia, in science teaching, and also in other subjects. But in mathematics, they go back, become abstract, and it's not like really engaging with the. In the new curriculum, they are being more abstract because they again separate mathematics from other subjects. So teachers nowadays, they are focusing on how to teach mathematics, but not how to embed the cultural values into mathematics teaching. Yes.
I don't like. It's different. Personally, I don't like. Personally, I don't like it.
Everyone loves mathematics. The teachers love maths, the students love maths. Why is it that in Australia, Indonesia, Europe, UK, and in America, that our children don't think they're good at mathematics? Why is that? Because we're going to let them say, I'm not good at maths, but we don't let them say, I can't read. Why can we let our children say, I can't read, I can't do maths, but we don't let them say, I can't read? Why is there a stigma about reading and not a stigma about mathematics? It's a very interesting topic and something that really should be researched in Indonesia. We're doing it in Australia. One of my maths teachers is doing that in Australia because she's very concerned about it. She's not Australian. And she doesn't understand why our children don't like mathematics. But it's because we sometimes don't feel as if we're good at it. And as teachers, we have to be good at maths, we have to be good at literacy, even if we don't feel like we're good at it. But that starts in early childhood. They have to understand the basics in early childhood of mathematics. Then primary, build that knowledge and love. Secondary, build that knowledge and love. And then they become great teachers of maths. And particularly primary teachers, elementary teachers, you have to be confident in maths and in numeracy and literacy. So it might be a lot of really schooling for us still. And that's good fun with you guys, but this could be the maths retraining university. That's what my university is, we're the maths retraining university in New South Wales. Teachers come to us university to actually get better at mathematics. Because we know, particularly in the future, our children need maths, they need coding, they need technologies. That's important. Even though we may not be comfortable with it. Look, thank you for your contribution. I've got a very strong sense of what's happening here in the University of Australia. I'm really impressed with your commitment to your studies and your commitment to your students and for the students that turned up today. Really good. And I want to sort of strengthen our partnership with the University Council. Anyway, just go onto our website, Google School Education Newcastle, and you'll see all of the wonderful things we do too, and many of them are very similar to yours. So we've got a writing project happening with your academics. So your academics that are doing the papers, but joining up with my academics together and then co-authoring publications in newspaper journals. So that's a really good connection. We're trying to bring our students across here with new public funding. So competition students come to school in university. Whether it be only 2 weeks or 1 semester. So we're exploring opportunities and to get your staff or your students to come to university. That's why we have these partnerships. They're like friendships. We have to support and nurture so that they become sustainable. So
Okay, amazing. Thank you, Professor Susan. Give one applause, big applause to Professor Susan. It's amazing. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I would like to giving the highlight or summary of this workshop. First, Miss Professor Susan talking about pillar of educations, and there are four important pillar of education. First is about the center for active living and learning, emerging technologies, teach and research center. The last is diverse learning and learning context. And we as the teachers, for strengthening education system, as the teacher, we have to know the rule as teacher. We have to also recognize what is the student needs about the law and what is the stakeholder needs. Place-based research, we have also to understanding by place of knowledge and experience, local culture, recognitions, opportunity for school community and interplay. And the last, as a teacher, we have to understand what as the rule, because teachers as the rule of the model here, we have to recognize what the students say, what they do, and relate things. So maybe I would like to give the quotes today as the closing of our meeting today. Education makes people easy to lead, but difficult to drive, easy to govern, but impossible to lead. So let's change the world by educated ourselves is important. So that's the closing for our amazing workshop today with Professor Susan. And as personally is really grateful for having you here, because why education have changed. That's really amazing. So give one big applause once again to Professor Susan. All right, thank you. So jadi Bapak Ibu. Yeah, already. So I would like to giving to the master of ceremony today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the moderator and the speakers for the amazing discussion. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are leading to the end of the event. But before that, we will enter the last session, which is the handing of certificates from the represent Faculty of Education to Professor Susan Lectur. Yes, so we will give you a certificate and maybe souvenirs. Okay, maybe the photographer can take the picture. Give applause to our today guest lecturer. Okay. Okay, maybe the last session will be taking picture together with our guests. Start from the master degree doctoral program first. For the committee who in charge in photo, maybe with the photo session. Okay. Continue to the master program. This from education management. Okay. Okay, maybe from undergraduate. Okay, Master Early Childhood Education. Maybe want to take a picture too from early child. Master and undergraduate. It's okay. Master and you may come to take a picture, sir. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Professor, for the guest lecture today. It's really great. And oh, okay, undergraduate. Maybe Professor can or again because I forgot to tell the undergraduate program from management education English. Program for from early childhood first. Bu Melia maybe want to take a picture too. Okay, be ready for the education management undergraduate student. Okay, the last one is from undergraduate program of management education, education management. May come forward. Oops, who takes the picture? Okay. Thank you so much, Professor. Okay, we come to the last session of this guest lecture. I would like to apologize if there's any shortcomings and inconveniences. Thank you very much for joining us today, and may this event give you a wonderful experiences. Hopefully we all can be guided by all the things we have learned and heard throughout the conference and be able to influence our future. I'm Isabel and see you again in the next guest lecture. We hope you all a wonderful day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much.